He had lived in 4 homes in 6 years, 4 families, 4 front doors that closed behind him, and every single time, he came back more damaged than before. His name was George, a Maine Coon with rage so deep, so unpredictable, that even the vet, the one person trained to stay calm, looked her in the eye and said most people would have already put him down. The woman who signed his 5th adoption paper had absolutely no idea what was about to walk through her door. She wasn't naive. She fostered animals regularly. She had seen fear. She had seen aggression. But nothing prepared her for the 1 hour and 45-minute drive home from the rescue center, during which George screamed, not occasionally, not in short bursts, the entire drive. A raw, relentless, ear-splitting scream that filled every inch of that car and shook her confidence with every single mile. She gripped the wheel. She didn't turn back, but somewhere around mile 40, one thought crept in and wouldn't leave. What did I just do? George was a Maine Coon, one of the most magnificent cat breeds on the planet, known for their lion-like mane, their enormous frame, their tufted ears, and their almost dog-like attachment to the people they love. Males can reach 20 to 25 pounds. Their coats are thick, layered, built for harsh winters. They are regal, commanding, breathtaking to look at. But George's first owner had large dogs that played rough, too rough, and whatever happened inside that house during those early months of his life left something behind that no new home, no new family, no amount of fresh starts could erase. Nobody warned her about that. Not really. Not in a way that actually prepared her for what was coming. The first week was chaos. George didn't just resist, he attacked. Not defensively, not out of corner-backed fear, actively, deliberately, with a precision that shocked her every single time. The moment she reached for her coat, he launched. The moment her hand moved toward the front door, he was already in motion, a blur of orange fur and concentrated fury, claws extended, biting down with a force that left marks taking weeks to disappear. She has the scars to prove it. Her hands, her forearms, a quiet constellation of old wounds she still carries today. She called a close friend during that first month and said, "I don't think I can do this." Her friend said, "Then don't." She didn't listen. Here is what nobody tells you about an animal carrying years of abandonment trauma. They don't just miss you when you leave, they punish you for it before you go. George had learned through 4 families, 4 departures, 4 betrayals, that a coat meant goodbye, that a hand near a doorknob meant he would be alone again. And alone, for George, wasn't just uncomfortable, it was catastrophic. So he attacked every single time, because the attack felt like control, and control was the only thing he had left. Stories like this one don't get told enough. If you feel something right now, you're not alone in that. She made a decision around week 3. Stop reacting emotionally. Stop escalating. She had spent years, since she was 13 years old, teaching violin professionally. Decades of working with students who struggled, who got frustrated, who wanted to quit before they ever really began. She knew something real about patience, about repetition, about the difference between demanding progress and actually creating the conditions where progress becomes possible. She took every one of those lessons and applied them directly to George. She started reading him instead of reacting to him. She studied the specific flicker in his ears, a subtle forward tilt that appeared approximately 11 seconds before an attack. She learned that his tail would go completely still, like a statue had replaced the cat, right before the explosion. And she discovered that if she caught him at that 8-second mark and calmly, quietly placed him in a separate room, no yelling, no drama, 0 emotional charge, for exactly 10 to 15 minutes, something reset inside him, every single time, like a switch. I see you're still watching, but you haven't subscribed yet. Honestly, that stings a little. Hit subscribe. You'll want to be here for what comes next. She worked closely with her vet throughout all of this. George's abandonment issues ran so deep, so far back into his history, that the vet raised the possibility of Prozac. She hesitated. She researched. She asked every question she had, and then she said yes. Within weeks, the baseline anxiety that had lived inside George's body like a second heartbeat, that constant humming dread, began to quiet. It didn't disappear, but it softened. Just enough for the training to land, just enough for something to finally get through. She harness trained him, then leash trained him, then slowly, impossibly, she began taking him outside on walks. a Maine Coon on a leash in the open air. Strangers would stop and stare, some would ask to pet him, and George, the same George who had sent 4 families back to the shelter, would sit completely still and allow it. But then came the moment nobody expected. She was fostering a litter of kittens, 3 of them, no older than 5 weeks. She wasn't sure how George would react, so she kept the introductions slow, a cracked door, controlled distance, no pressure. And then George did something that made her stop breathing for a moment. He lay down, flat on the floor, chin on his paws, watching the kittens through the gap in the door with an expression she had never once seen on his face before. Not aggression, not that coiled, ready-to-strike tension she knew so well. Something completely different, something that looked, against all reason, like wonder. Over the following days, he became gentle with them in a way that defied everything she thought she understood about him. The same cat who had attacked her for reaching toward a coat was now lying perfectly still while a 5-week-old kitten climbed across his back like it was a mountain. She sat down on the floor next to him that evening. She didn't say anything for a long time. This is the kind of love that deserves to be seen. Nearly 2 years have passed since that 1 hour and 45-minute drive home. George is not the same cat. He greets her daughters now, not with suspicion, not with that coiled spring tension, but with something approaching ease. He snuggles, he tolerates, he has, on his own terms, on his own timeline, learned to trust again. He still tears up cardboard boxes with focused, almost professional dedication. He still takes up more space on the couch than any reasonable creature should. He has destroyed 2 full couch sets, 3 rugs, and multiple glasses over the years. She accepts this completely. She stopped expecting him to become a different cat a long time ago. She accepted him, not the version she hoped he would become, but the version he actually is. If you were thinking about adopting an animal with behavioral challenges, understand this clearly. Patience is not passive. It is the hardest, most active, most demanding thing you will do. Some animals arrive carrying years of fear, years of loss, years of being handed back to strangers. That doesn't disappear in a week. It doesn't disappear in a month. Progress comes in 11-second windows, in tiny resets, in one quiet morning when you realize the attacks have become less frequent and you didn't even notice when that started. Before you adopt, make sure you are genuinely ready, not just emotionally willing, but practically prepared. Learn what that specific animal needs. Talk to professionals. Be ready to give your time, your consistency, and most of all, your patience. Because giving them love is not enough. Giving them the right kind of love, the kind that doesn't flinch, doesn't escalate, doesn't give up, that is what makes all the difference. Sometimes the animals that require the most from us end up teaching us the most about ourselves. George didn't need a perfect home. He needed someone who would stay. She stayed. Could you have stayed for a cat like George, or would 4 families have been enough? Tell me in the comments.